Today I have Jamie Holden here, who's Sales Readiness Manager at LexisNexis, to discuss the strategy for internal and external communications throughout his company and how it is effective and how he applies it.
Okay,
Jamie, thanks for being here.
great. Thanks for having me. So, to give you a little bit of background, LexisNexis is a global company that has roughly 3,000 or so employees, somewhere around $2 billion in revenue. So, it's a big size organization. Um, I'll kind of break the two out separately, the internal side of it and then also the external side of it, which we often refer to as the customer facing side. So, from an internal standpoint, we we're structured a couple of different ways. So we have our parent company, which is Reed Elsevier. They are responsible for kind of like an umbrella communication that goes out to all employees across the world. And then we have our LexisNexis corporate level communication that is controlled by a group. And then what I am mostly involved with is our what's referred to as our NARS organization, which consists of about 1,500 or so individuals, and our communication is mostly built around sales. And so each of the individuals that are at the different levels of our organization control the communication that goes out, and there's planning and different types of strategy and different types of communication. So for me, what I'm mostly involved with, as I mentioned, is the sales aspect of it. So we have over 800 sales reps across the country, and we have implemented a sales communication system, which basically allows us to control the messages that go into it, and prevents our reps from receiving too much communication on a daily basis. So, as we know, we want them spending most of their time out in the field, really meeting with customers and not having to really sift through an amazing amount of email. So, what we've done is we've put in a process that's known throughout our organization. It's a weekly communication that goes out every Friday that me and my team are involved with putting together. And so essentially, what happens is the week leading up, we have different individuals from across the business. So it could be marketing partners, it could be some of our business leaders, it could be sales leaders, it could be some of our internal literature creation individuals. And so they will submit requests to communicate certain materials out to the sales population. And it's more than just the sales population. There's actually a number of other stakeholders that are part of our organization that receive this weekly communication as well. So um, each of our contributors submits what we refer to as an article. So basically, think of it as like a newsletter. So it'll have a couple of sentences that gives a synopsis of what the article will explain, and then it links out to a much more detailed document. We we have about 15 of those that go out in a given week, and we've found that um, by controlling the amount that goes in, the reps have an easier time being able to review and retain the information that we're communicating. So as we have changes in products, if we have impacts to customers that might happen, if we have changes in processes, we can be sure that that information is going to be retained and that they're going to walk away with the knowledge necessary for them to perform in their jobs. And they know that it's going to come out on a week to week basis at literally at the same time every day or every week, and that's Friday at noon. So there is a consistency, there's an expectation, they know what to expect, the format, the layout, the type of information. We organize it based on our top product, some of our other products, and then some of what else is important to know. So, and we actually did a lot of research to find out what they were looking for and what communication was impactful. And the perhaps the biggest takeaway is we went through a series of focus groups and info sessions with some of our reps and managers was that they wanted us to just get to the point. So we often had a habit of trying to build up a topic, an article, and it probably took more time for them to read and digest. And so what we did is we simplified it and took a much more straightforward approach. And with that, we've created a set of guidelines so that our contributors, as they're drafting articles and as they're submitting articles, they have to keep it within the confines that we've established. So we found that to be very effective, and people have adopted that policy, so it makes it nice for us to be able to manage. So that's from the internal side. Now, moving to the external side of the communication. And it's important also to know that we have a lot of close collaboration with the team. So my team that is involved with a lot of the internal communication. We have very close collaboration with our external communication, our customer facing partners, because we have to make sure that we have a consistent message and a consistent positioning that we're providing out into the market. So we don't want to be telling customers one thing and then relaying a message to our reps that is different, because we, like I said, we want that consistency to be there. So as we have product updates, as we have new launches coming out, we make sure that we are very closely connected with our corporate communications and our marketing group to ensure that there is that consistent message. So from the customer facing side, there are two groups, and I just alluded to them, that are mostly involved with that communication. We have our corporate communications group, and then we have our marketing group. Those are the two groups that handle most of the primary organized customer-facing communication. Of course, our reps are communicating them more informally on a day-to-day basis, but I kind of exclude that from this conversation. So with our corporate communications, they're the group that is most often tasked with providing press releases. So if we have a significant product update, a product release, maybe an acquisition within the company, they're the group that typically manages that and works with our CEO, our general manager of one of our business units to create and disseminate that to some of our media outlets, which we have, I believe, a couple of media outlets that we typically work with. And what I should have mentioned earlier is we work in the legal industry, so we offer online information. So typically the individuals that we work with out in the media are related to the legal industry. So they'll typically put together in unison, and often they'll write it, send it to the CEO, and have him review, make edits before final copy. And what's absolutely critical, and this is the same for our internal side of it, and what's really been effective for us to create valuable materials, is multiple people reviewing and editing, almost as if you're publishing a book, because we want to make sure that we have the credibility of our message. So spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, that can really ruin the credibility of a message or a communication that's going out. So particularly at the customer facing level and at the industry level, so we have to make sure that we avoid those types of errors. So in terms of that corporate communication, they're really involved. Now from the marketing side, a little bit of what they're responsible with. And again, there is such collaboration, and we have frequent meetings, and everybody is aware of the timing of it, because that can be another dangerous thing. So on the internal side, we talked about avoiding too frequent a communication. The same has to happen within the market. So we don't want to send customers too much information and confuse them in any way based on updates that we have going on. So our marketing partners are typically working with the corporate communications group, looking at timing of press releases and just making sure, all right, here's a product release that's probably a little bit more important. This is what we want to go to the market with and what we want to say. And then we run it through the appropriate channels to make sure that that timing works out. So the key, again, for all of it is that close collaboration to make sure everybody's aware of what the other groups are doing. LexisNexis, we're a matrix organization, so oftentimes we have a marketing person doing one thing, and then our corporate communications doing another thing, and then our internal side doing something else. So the reason we meet so frequently with one another is to make sure that we're all on the same page and we don't create or cause any confusion with our reps or with the customer. So that gives you a sense a little bit as to the importance of communication, our strategy, and some of the tactics that are most effective for us within LexisNexis.